Hi, and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about, is there such a thing as too much sports? Can we overdo it? With all this encouragement to participate in sports, is there too much? That is what we'll be addressing in this video. Well, if this topic is going to have to cover things like money, right? So I just did a whole video on money, how much money is too much, specialization, how early. What about burnout and the travel and all the pressures to excel, excel, excel? What sort of wear does that have on students? How much is too much? And each of those areas is what we'll be delving into in this video. So parents, as we talked about in the last video I did, are spending thousands of dollars on youth sports. It is a multi-billion dollar industry, and everybody's pushing specialization because you got people making money on the more basketball and hockey programs and baseball programs. Oh, you got to get better at this. You need more training. You need to do more, 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 more. All of this begins to put pressure on both parents and child, raising stress levels. And when parents begin to feel it, it manifests itself into their children as well. When those things begin to happen, the financial strain begins to feel it, you got to take a step back and begin to analyze what your ultimate goal is, how you can achieve that goal, maintain what the sports are supposed to be really about, and begin to look at this a little more holistically. So that would be the first thing that you're going to need to attempt to do. A recent 2023 study showed that students who are beginning to specialize at young ages are more likely to increase burnout. They're more likely to have overuse injuries. And none of that should really begin to surprise us, right? When you're doing one particular sport and you're really working on those specific skills, you're not really developing all the muscles and all the different athletic skills that multiple sports require. So if you think about baseball, for example, which has some pretty unique sports, if you want to really kind of uh, watch some athletes sometimes, some who I've seen like basketball players throw out the first pitch at baseball games. These are professional basketball players, outstanding athletes who can't throw. They never threw a ball. You don't throw a basketball the way you throw a baseball. Completely different muscle development, right? So baseball players who are only playing baseball, not doing basketball, won't develop some of the different muscles that you use in basketball. I've talked to countless college coaches who all look for athletes who are playing multiple sports. They would like to see that, right? The longer they see that, the happier they are. So if you begin to develop your child at a young age, thinking you're going to be helping them, there's more and more research that says you're doing the exact opposite. Now, 70% of youth who are involved in sports at a young age drop out of sports by the time they're 13. So they lose some really important years of athletic development, the exercise, the physical activity, the coordination, all these development as they're reaching puberty and all, which have huge benefits. They aren't going to get those benefits at an age when they really need it because they've begun to be burnt out. Some of that burnout is primarily the kids themselves have said stop being fun. When you delve into that, what's happened? Well, the price of trying to compete at higher and higher levels, at winning, at traveling all over the place, they stopped being able to be a kid. And they weren't enjoying those opportunities, those experiences. So as parents, we want to encourage them to have fun as long as we can, to get involved in as many sports as you can. If you want to travel and you're liking it, let's do that. But let's watch how young we're starting to do that, right? This idea of beginning to push these elite travel teams, and I've seen it at age 9 years old, that's over the top, right? And that's happening more and more, and the kids are burning out. And there's some sports, especially female gymnastics is one where that's like just look at the Olympic teams. Look at how young some of those gymnasts are. It, I don't even know if I have an answer for it for that particular sport, the nature of the sport. But parents, we've got to begin to step back and be able to take a more holistic look at how young we are beginning to push them for something that they might not really strive for by the time they reach teenage years, and we've soured them on the benefits of athletics way too early. It's real and has a negative impact in many areas of teenagers' lives. You know, part of this drive that's being sold out there, being encouraged, is this idea of being able to get athletic scholarships. And it's a myth. 2% at most of high school athletes are going to get scholarships, and most of those are partial. Division I and Division II offer scholarships. Division III does not, athletic scholarships. And a whole lot of kids will have an opportunity to play Division III athletics, and there's no scholarship at all available for that. So this idea of pushing to get athletic scholarships, is wrong-headed, right? There are much better ways to find scholarships, and I did another whole video on all of that because there are billions, literally, of scholarships that go unclaimed every year. So stop already with trying to push your child athletically so they can get an athletic scholarship. You push them athletically to develop character, to develop all these other benefits, persistence and dealing with failure, and all of these things that we've talked about in other videos. That is why we try to encourage the involvement in athletics. Scholarships, that if they get it, fantastic, but that is not a driving force. That's a myth. So if you think that's the avenue, if that becomes one of your targets or goals, let that be a byproduct, not the mission. I am now going to get off my soapbox because this is something I'm really passionate about, and try to reclaim local youth sports. Local soccer, local basketball, local baseball, things that used to be done more often. Whether it's Little League, Babe Ruth leagues, Junior Little League leagues, local YMCA basketball leagues, whatever. These need to be encouraged, especially before middle school. And to all you parents out there who are considering travel sports because that's all you've got in your area, get vocal and restart your little leagues. At least restart some of these YMCA basketball leagues. Be active and do that. It's better for your community, it's better for your child, it's better for their development. Get them involved in more sports. It's going to save money in your pocket, and nobody is going to be looking at your 9-year-old child on some elite level program thinking they might get into their college or anything else. Focus on developing fun, the passion, and fundamentals, right, at those young ages. I would even argue right up through middle school, maybe in high school. But I'm going to use baseball as another example. And to all you who might be out there listening who involved American Legion, you guys blew it. I would encourage you to rethink what you're doing, because you had a fantastic organization, good things with baseball. You had national championships. You were getting kids in high school playing in the summertime. But you missed the opportunity in the movement of these movement towards college showcases, where you could get a whole bunch of college coaches at one place watching a whole bunch of different teams at once. So kids stopped doing American Legion baseball, particularly where I'm from, in New England and the Northeast, to do these travel teams. And I will tell you, from my oldest son's perspective, who had a chance, their high school would have combined the way the Legion was set up with another high school. Both very good. Very good. Two of the best in the state. That Legion team would have been a blast. Most of the key players were playing travel baseball. Because of that, my son decided to play with them. There are 8 D1 guys in that team my son played on, and he was only on play Division III. He loved that experience, but he will tell you that he wishes they had all been able to do Legion baseball and use Legion as that kind of showcase thing. That sort of thing is what we need to develop and bring back. That loss of community, that loss of playing for something outside of yourself, which is what travel's all about. I've seen it over and over in multiple sports. Yeah, it's important for us to go win, win, win. The kids are there to showcase themselves, right? So there's no real, that team often gets lost. Well, that ends another one. And again, I get pretty passionate about that particular topic. And I hope you felt that, because it is important. Anyways, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, check out the other videos. In particular, you might want to check out the video, how much money are parents really spending on youth sports, because it ties into what we just talked about. So check that video out today. Come back and see us in another, and take care.